ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Indeed, all the thanks and praises are due to Allah the Almighty, the Lord who has made it possible for us to be here today to discuss the issue of the family. I appreciate Allah and I thank Him for granting us this opportunity. And talking about the family is very key as far as human development is concerned, and as far as the society's development and growth is concerned. Nations that concentrate on building the family will succeed. Nations that concentrate on building, it's not bad to build infrastructures, but to building the family is key, because it is the family that will produce the builders of the society. And that's the bottom line here. When societies are good, the first to look at is the foundation, which is the family. But when societies are bad, what we have to also look at is what went wrong with the family. And let me give an example. I used to live in an area where my parents had lived, rahimahumullah, may Allah bless them and grant them Jannah. This area back then, years back, almost like, only God knows how many years back, running to 50 years back. We used to live there in a very peaceful environment where every parent knows the other parent, every family is connected with the other family, everybody knows everybody else, everybody cares for everybody else. And this is the way the society grew. The society grew in that line, and it became so connected, so close. They had the street associations. In the other street, the other environment, people know themselves. And this was how the parents of those generation grew up and brought up their children. However, as the older generations passed away, some new ones came who did not care for their families. You had husbands who beat wives, wives who are not responsible to their husband, who are not paying attention to the family values. And after this time, you had children who currently, as I speak with you, constitute a lot of danger to that society. So that same society where people had grown, we had had so many graduates, we had had so many people in different fields. Today, that same society is the same society today where you'll be fearful of driving in the night. You can hardly go out at a certain period of the night because you'll be afraid that you might be, on the threat of being attacked or what have you. It is just that small society. So what has changed? The only thing that I feel has changed is the family values. The families were destroyed over time. It was not instantaneously, but over a period of time, the family values started dropping, and people started paying attention to other things. There were big houses and all this, but there was no societal peace. Sometimes those children who had not gotten in touch with values of the family, they grew up to become street urchins. From one street to the other street, children from the street will fight, pick up arms and cutlasses and, whatever, machetes, and they want to fight with the children from other streets because they don't go to school. A lot of them were dropped out of schools, went into drugs, and now the peace in the society is lost. Now, where am I driving at? Where I'm driving at is that, why did we have it this way? What has changed? What really happened? What changed was the fact that the values of the society, the family values of the society, had been atrophied. It was lost. It is important that we have to look at, and if you look at the effect on the larger society, it is just the same, because what happened in that society, that small environment where I grew up from, that what happened in that small environment, if you keep replicating the same thing that happened there in other places, you will discover that this is massive, because the societal destruction was massive, because people over a period of time stopped paying attention to family values. Husbands and wives were not treating themselves well, and generally the government felt that how you treat your wife, how you live with your wife, it is not the government's business, it is your family problem, because government felt that, well, it's your personal problem, so handle it your way. We don't want to intervene. But I posit that if we allow ABC to destroy 3 families, some years to come, XYZ will also be destroyed. And when these families, that is destroyed, that family was destroyed, the other family was destroyed, the destruction of these different marriages and families will accumulate into a big problem for the society to deal with. And this is the national security challenge, part of the national security challenges that we're having today. I have said it in no uncertain terms in different fora. When you talk about area boys, you talk about bandits, you talk about terrorists, you talk about Boko Haram, you talk about all this. These were children. These children constitute the material which all these non-state actors used as their patsy, the cannon fodder, to satisfy and support their sadistic intentions and proclivities. So now what we're having is the destruction of different families and different marriages that has led to a bigger challenge to our society today. And I ask Allah in His mercy to solve our problems for us. And the reason I'm saying this is because you and I know that supposing yesteryears society has paid attention to individual families, they had picked interest in how you are treating your wife, how you are treating your husband, the values of raising children. If the society had paid attention to it and they said that this our community, you must, as a matter of necessity, you cannot afford to for example, you cannot afford to allow your children not to go to school. Because if your child don't go to school, his child doesn't go to school, this one is not properly brought up, even if he goes to school, no moral training, they are into drugs, then we know that years to come, if this one fails, if that one fails, if those ones fails, the cumulative effect of the failures of these families is going to affect our national security architecture. It becomes a threat to our collective patrimony, but because we have not been able to pay attention to this, now we're having a big problem to deal with. Along the length and breadth of the nation today, we are being faced with one challenge, security challenge or the other. The question I ask myself is, did these guys drop from the blues? Did they come from anywhere outside the shore of the country? Okay, what percentage of them came from outside the shore of the country? And even regardless of wherever they come from, were they not born by parents? Didn't they have their own parents? His own parents, her own parents, and these parents, they allowed the children to be raised by the street. And if there is any child that has been so raised by the street, we say that itself is a problem. Because any child that is raised and so raised by the street and is not being raised by human beings, human beings who are interested in family values, then we say this is a problem in and all of itself. And that takes us to our topic for today. What are the destroyers of marriages? When I say destroyers of marriages, I mean destroyers of the family. And it is important for us to talk about this because, look, whether we like it or not, it boils down to all of us. We are all in it together. Okay, supposing I pretend to myself and I say, whatever might be happening to your family is none of my own business. I got nothing to do with it. I will be the one to pay for it eventually, because at the end of the day, if you concentrate on building your own children, training your own children with the right values, but Allah, may Allah protect us against this. And I failed to train our own children. I failed to bring up my children the right way. I failed to tutor them and arrange their lives and set them right. Those children whom I have refused, Allah, may Allah protect my family and yours from that. If, for example, anybody had refused to train his own child, his own children, that he had failed to train, that he had failed to bring up the right way, they will constitute dangers and threats to my own children that I claim to have trained the proper way. What am I trying to bring out of this? It is not enough for us to say that the destroyed families are their families. I don't have a hand in it. It is none of my business, so let them handle their business. Yes, you are right to some extent, but when we look at it from the bigger perspective, we'll discover that the after effect of your own lack of proper upbringing of your children, proper, attention being paid to family values, the fact that you could allow your family to be destroyed, it is going to, in the long run, affect my own family too. Because my children will have to they have to get friends. They will have to go to school with some other children. They're not going to go to isolated schools. So we say it is a collective, it has to be a collective responsibility. We all must be interested in what are the destroyers of our marriages or our families, so that we can begin to talk about it and handle it. Not for every marriage that has been so peaceful, I pray for you and myself, that Allah in His mercy will bless your homes and mine too. Because when your home is peaceful and my home is peaceful and our homes are peaceful, the society will be at peace in the long run. But when my home is not peaceful, when your home is not peaceful, when our homes are not peaceful, at the end of the day, there will be a problem in the larger society, just as we are having it today. And I'm appealing here that those of us who feel content with the way our family's values are, let us begin to extend this attention to other people, whether through town hall meetings or online meetings such as these or what have you. I prefer one-on-one discussion, because it is not enough. How many of these families go online, right? How many of them even understand the language of modern science in terms of technology, in terms of connectivity with online platforms? Do we need to go into the street and enlighten and educate the families, maybe with some element of government support here, so that we can begin to address from the grassroots the importance of family values? Now let's go to what I did, because I am interested in this, because it's actually burdensome and bothering to see the rate at which the family values are getting destroyed. It's seriously disturbing. And why I'm worried is because, and you should be worried too anyway, why I'm worried is because we know we are bringing up our children, we're trying the best we can to raise our children with the fear of God, with righteous morals, with righteous characters. But we shouldn't go to sleep when our neighbors are not doing the same. Because these neighbors who have failed to train their own children the right way, whatever goes around will come around. Let it not be that his own son or his daughters or whatever that he has failed to train the right way will affect the interests of my own children. And this is a danger that we have to handle, respected viewers here. Now, the destroyers of families, I might be wrong, just take it the way I put it, and I'm not really going to state this in any particular order or in order of importance, but from my own assessment, any relationship that has been so peaceful can easily be destroyed by anger problems. As in, lack of anger management plans can destroy any society. And I'm giving this as an example from a brother, and I know some of us will have watched this clip. He, in the month of Ramadan, came back home from a tafsir. A tafsir here means the sitting that takes place in the month of Ramadan, where people have the time to listen to the Quran by our ulama and all this like that. The scholars, they explain the Quran and they try to do so many things. Now this man just came back at the end of the day's fasting, and he came back home, and the food by the wife is not ready, right? The food being prepared by the wife is not ready. So he got angry, to cut it short. He got angry, and the woman said, "I'm sorry, as I was cooking, the gas in the gas cylinder got exhausted, and I tried all the means to get the gas, no way, so I had to go to my neighbor's house to borrow her own stove to start cooking with, and that's why I'm late." So this man, because of anger, how do we explain a brother who has been fasting since morning, who should be calm? But because he has anger problem. He refused to listen to the woman, no empathy, he wasn't empathetical to the plight of the woman. He just rained blow on the face of the woman, boom, and boom, boom, boom. And before you know it, the woman started bleeding from her faces. Hijabi sister, eyeball swollen, lips broken, everywhere with blood. So neighbors came around, and everybody was, and everybody went berserk, and it became a news. And I know that year I was invited by one of the news channels to speak on it, and I actually explained it that this brother is a living devil. I said this brother was a living devil, because how can a man who has been fasting this morning, and the only gift you have to give to your wife is to beat her up because she was late in preparing your food? And I explained to them that because he has anger problem, this can, and of course it led to the destruction of that family, because that became an issue at the extended family. The parents of the wife, they went so angry, and eventually the family had a problem. I pray Allah to help them to solve the problem that was back then. So lack of proper anger management, practice can easily destroy the peace in the family. May Allah protect us against anger that is beyond our control. Everybody gets angry, and it is the right of an individual to express anger when you are being faced with a situation that you don't like, right? But anger should not make you to behave like a mad person, because after all, when you are angry, you are not mad, right? But some level of anger, when you allow it to get to make you temperamental, it makes you to behave as if there was element of insanity in you. And at that point in time, you seem to lose the control, right? You seem to be out of control, because at that time, you're no longer in charge of whatever you say or whatever you do. So we have to take charge of our anger management. This is very important. May Allah have mercy on us. Number 2 is poor communications. Poor communication, I know generally we understand communication to be what we express, what we say to ourselves. When we don't say it the right way, when we poorly ventilate our views, when we poorly express ourselves, right? This could bring a destruction to the family values. But at the same time, that is what we say when we say whatever we have to say the wrong way. Even poor communication could imply what we have refused to say. As in, it is not only what we say, it also includes what we refuse to say. So when we only communicate what we have in mind to our spouses, our wives, our husband, is a problem, including non-verbal communication here. Sometimes you express yourself without saying anything. Sometimes you say a lot of things, yet you have not said anything. This is important as far as family communication is concerned. So when you poorly communicate yourself, it could be through, like I mentioned, non-verbal communication could be just remaining silent, and you use some negative words such as sarcasm, what do you call it now? What do you call it? When you negatively communicate, what do you call it? Negatively communicate yourself by saying things that you actually are not really supposed to say, and you tend to bring yourself to the level where your body language speaks volumes to your partner, especially when this comes through negative means. Let me give an example here. A wife talking to a husband, or a husband talking to the wife, and the wife feels that I don't feel like talking to him, or the husband feels like I don't feel like talking to her, and he says in a clear verbal communication, he says, darling, can we eat now? Rather than expressing himself or herself the right way, the person chooses the body non-verbal expression by ignoring or being silent in a negative way. That person has communicated even without saying anything. This is a form of negative communication, so it should be avoided. These things can destroy the family. Number two, poor communication could be through harsh words. And of course, I want to appeal to our male in the house. I know generally men tend to be egoistic, egoistic in the sense that you don't feel like listening to your wife, or you feel like your wife is inconsequential. Some of us take this to the level of harsh words on our wives, as in we speak to our wives in a harsh way. This one is not even, I'm not talking about moments of anger here. There are families, there are husbands whose manner, it is the way. It is not that they're angry. Anybody can be angry, and then you can come back and say, I'm sorry for what I said the other time. It was in a state of anger. This is understandable, right? But what about the person this is the lifestyle? As in, this has been the way the woman or the man has been living with him or her. So it's not a momentary thing, it is the usual thing. Harsh words. This is not good. These things easily pulls the heart of husband and wife apart. And it is one of the things that can easily destroy the family. I ask Allah in His mercy not to destroy our families. Next is misunderstanding when it becomes too frequent. No marriage is perfect, granted. But when misunderstanding becomes like a norm, that it is every time you guys fight. In a week, you fight 3 times, 4 times. How many days in a week? 7 days in a week. Out of the 7 days in a week, you fight 3 to 4 times. So the time you have to be happy is reduced, but the time you have to fight is more. So constant misunderstanding stress the love of the family. Let me give an example. When family begins to have constant misunderstanding, the bonding reduces. The time they hug themselves reduces. The time they kiss themselves reduces. The times they have quiet time together, quality time together reduces. So if this is the case, tell me, where is the joy in the family? There's no joy here, right? Marriage, in the glorious Quran, God Almighty tells us that the marriage is to provide a haven for us to have peace. Marriage provides the place, the umbrella, where we can rest our head in a peaceful manner. So where there is constant misunderstanding, then there is a problem here. So poor communication is number 2 destroyer of the family, and we have to take a look at it. And my advice is that if we can just make it back to back, I mentioned earlier the issue of anger. The best thing is understand your couple before you get into marriage. If the person has anger problems, let me tell you the secret about anger problems. Anger problems don't easily go away. You need to take time to make prayer over it. You need to be intentional about this management, and possibly you need to visit a counselor. Pray over it, be intentional in its management, and visit a counselor to take you through it, because it has to be a process. You know, it's like someone who's going through a therapy. It has to be a process for you to overcome the tendency of anger. And on the issue of communication, I think the best thing is just to open up and say what you want to say to your wife or husband the right way. If you have something to say it the best way. And you don't have anything to say, being silent is just the most beautiful thing. And you know, silence in the face of the wife or husband is not to be in a state where you don't talk to anybody. No. Silence should be in a beautiful way. You know, when you are silent, you shouldn't turn away from your wife. Don't turn away from your husband. At least the mouth might be silent, the body language, the look, and the touch should stay there. This is my appeal. The next destroyer of marriage, of course, is suspicion. Suspicion leads to so many other evils, and I must be very emphatic about it, because by the time husband and wife begin to suspect themselves, that leads to searching the phone secretly, unlocking your husband or wife's phone, quietly trying to pilfer and see who is she talking to, who is he talking to, quietly trying to do some things unknown to that person, trying to get the password of this and password of that. Suspicion is a big problem, a big destroyer of marriage. Where suspicion gets to a certain level, the trust level will drop. And if you can just weigh it out, you will discover that in a family where there is too much suspicion, then there will be a time when the families will not be together again. Because when the suspicion is too much, it could lead to hatred. Because the moment you begin to suspect, you want to listen to every bad thing, it reduces the attention you pay to the good qualities you see in your man or your woman. And let me reiterate this for emphasis. Suspicion getting so much reduces your attention to the excellent qualities your husband has or excellent qualities your wife has. It's like a buggy situation. It beclouds your normal thinking, and you begin to think like a monster. You no longer see the good thing in the wife. You no longer see the good thing in the husband. Now everybody is on his own or her own. It is not sending a good signal to marriages, and it's sad. So we have to rise above suspicion. Now, my take on this is for us to be able to address the issue of suspicion. I think we should understand ourselves, number one, openly. As a husband, you should understand your wife. Openly here means without having any reservation. I am going to ABC, that is exactly where you're going to, then let it be known. I am still at XYZ. You don't open the doorway to suspicion. I am still here. I'll be back in 30 minutes time. If 30 minutes time becomes 1 hour, let your husband or your wife be in the picture. Oh, something happened. I can't make it home on time today. I may be coming late. Then put a call through. I mean, just practically trying to understand how to manage the possibility of suspicion raising its ugly head in the family. Will need to be on with timely I mentioned communication earlier, timely and constant interaction, right? Timely and constant open discussion, open communication. That my husband, this is what I'm planning to do. I want to do this, my wife. What do you think about this? Even in worst case scenario. And worst case scenario, let your husband or the wife be in the picture, and that will reduce the tendency of suspicion. And I know one of the things that can actually break the backbone of marriages, still on this issue of suspicion, is betrayal. betrayal or dishonesty. When you begin to betray your partner's trust in you, or your wife or husband's trust in you, then it could lead to like opening the Pandora box of suspicion, raising this ugly head. Because once, the other guy feels that now so they do. This is the way she is or he has been doing, and that is not really healthy for the family. Now, the next point that can easily affect the family, in a very bad way, is being disrespectful to one another. And I'm saying it with all due respect to our males in the house. Being disrespectful to our wives is not healthy, number one. It creates unhealthy situation in the family. And I'm giving an example in when you, the husband, make it a habit to always belittle your wife, especially in the presence of your children, your family members, or your neighbor. When you call your wife names that do not sync with respect, your neighbors will know easily that you and the husband will respect your wife. And they can seize into that and take your wife for granted. And should that happen, you don't have to blame anybody. You just blame yourself, because you created and you open up the doorway for that. On the other hand, wives, did you know that the greatest gift you can give to your wife is just respecting? Majorly, what most men need in their women is not really money or excessive beauty or excessive adornment. No. What they need in their wives is just respect. As in honest and sincere respect for their partners. That's what they need. They're not really after so many things. So many men that I've interacted with, the only thing they just need that my wife should respect me. For example, your husband is on his way home and you knew. Be there before him. Welcome him as he comes back. Welcome him with love. Get him seated. Oh, my darling, how's the office today? How did you go about your business? How did you do this? Let your husband know that, oh, my wife is very respectful. Talk to him in a manner that shows respect. Respect him, respect his family members, respect his friends. Let him know that, let the friends tell your husband, oh, you have a good wife. Why would they say that? Because of the way your wife not only respects you, but also respects your friend and your family members. This is very important. No thanks to women or wives that will choose to disrespect their husband openly. Sometimes you have some bit of sarcasm and innuendos between husband and wife. You just want to just give the hit, between the two of you. No problem if it stays between the two of you and it ends there. But by the time a wife publicly, for example, your husband is talking in a public space, say, keep quiet now. You don't talk too much. It's okay. And that is a wife talking to the husband. Your husband feels belittled and feels disrespected. The same thing goes for the wife, right? We have to understand that there is value in respect. And people do say respect is reciprocal. So that is the reciprocity of respect here should make the husband and the wife to look at themselves with value, with a sense of value. For example, if you value anything, even your cloth, even your shoes, you treat it well. It is dirty, you clean it. Your clothes is dirty, your house, you value your bed. Everything you value, you treat that thing well. In the same vein, value yourselves. Value your husband, value your wife, value yourselves. Place values on the way you treat yourselves and avoid disrespect. Like I mentioned earlier, being disrespectful can be so reducing. That is, even your children, if you reduce them, you belittle them, they will have sold their self-esteem. You make them to lose their self-esteem. Albeit, when a wife makes the husband to feel belittled, he loses his self-esteem. With nagging, for example. With nagging, a woman can be disrespectful to their husband. So I want to encourage us as couples, let us try to manage our emotion. One of the problem with disrespect is it could lead to emotional abuse, and this is not really healthy for the marriage. Furthermore, if anything can destroy marriage from within, it is when we in the course of dating, in the course of trying to get along with ourselves, in the course of getting along as would-be husband or would-be wife, in the course of doing that, if you ignore the red flags, then that is a problem. And I'm saying this because when we ignore some of the things that we feel that, oh, he will change now. It's one of those things with young couples. He will change or she will change. If you see it, say it out to someone. Mention it to your parents before you guys get married. Don't ignore it. Don't speak for him and don't speak for her. That he will change, it's not for you to estimate. You can't estimate the time that he was going to change, because only God knows whether he or she will change. Now, when you suspect some character issues, habits that are negative, harmful habits, for example, or you have issues with possessiveness before marriage, okay? A woman you're about getting married to, or a man you're about getting married to, and that woman or man will seize your phone for 3 days. They say, I won't allow you to use your phone. Or a man you want to get married to, or a woman you want to get married to, seizes your car key. And it says, you can't go out with this car for 3 days. I seize it. Like joke. Like joke. It could become something real. And this itself could send a very bad signal. May Allah have mercy on us. So my appeal on this point, because this very point may not instantaneously destroy the marriages, but it could destroy the marriages over a period of time, and we have to be careful with it. And why I'm bringing this up in particular is because of our young stars, the younger generations. Parents need to be close to them and advise them on how to avoid some of these pitfalls in the name of red flags. Once you see it, tell your father, tell your mother. Don't be the mouthpiece of your would-be husband or your would-be wife. Once you see something you're not comfortable with, tell them. Don't assume it's normal. No, please. For example, your friend says, it's normal now. He's a young man that he slaps you once. Does it mean he's violent? Oh, that he could slap you once and you guys are not yet married, even if you're married. It should be a red flag you have to pay attention to, so that you don't fall into this trap after your marriage. This is very important. And I'm saying it because I've had cases of people who later on get married, and the guy was lamenting. He said, I saw this thing coming, but I thought she would change. He said it. He said, I saw it coming. It's my fault. I ignored it. I thought he would change, or I thought she would change. Now, she didn't change. It has become a problem because you have 1 child, 2 children, 3 children. So what is going to happen now? You have to hold that and keep managing yourselves. And this erupts marriage of the beauty of the marriage itself. Furthermore, things that can easily destroy the backbone of marriages is when a husband is irresponsible financially. And I'm sorry, I have to go straight to the point here on financial irresponsibility, because the task of taking care of the wife rests on the table of the husband. And if you check it out in Quran chapter 4 verse 34, God Almighty says that it is the responsibility of the man to take care of the wife. Now, from my odyssey over a period of time, getting to places, talking to people, I have discovered that a number of men are really, really irresponsible. Let me give one example here. A sister discussed with me. The husband does not want him to grow. That each time the husband, and I asked her, why does your husband, or why do you think that your husband does not want you to grow? And she tells me, anytime I have money, even if it is borrowed or stealing, he must make sure I finish that money. He has never encouraged me to grow in my business. Every time he sees me wants to buy new things, or if I bypass him, I go for business and I come back and he sees my house or my shop loaded with things, that day there will be fight. I said, wow, what a husband is this? And she said, but he will never leave anything for me or my children. He will never leave food, money to buy food, money to cook soup. And if I struggle to make something for myself or my children, as soon as he comes home and you didn't prepare anything for him, you guys will not be able to eat. He said, me and my children, that night won't be able to eat. He will pack all the food and he will eat whatever he wants to eat and throw out the remaining one. And I said to myself, what a husband. And this is not fable. A sister, may Allah bless her and bless her home. She tells me this. And she tells me she was about quitting her business. I said, no, don't quit your business. Continue to pray to Allah. Of course, I've invited the husband for counseling so that we can have some time together. But the bottom line is that we have husbands that are financially irresponsible. What do? Some of them secretly manage their finances. It's not a matter of the man is not working, no. He has a job that he does. But it just feels that if I continue to empower my wife has money than me, she's going to become arrogant. So what happens? Khadija was richer than Rasulullah. Except you have a bad wife, that the wife is richer than the husband, it's an additional blessing. Because the man has no problem. Except the man is himself having a problem with himself. If a man is irresponsible, or is a gold digger, or he has a bad heart, there are men with bad heart that they don't like anybody growing around them. If a woman makes a mistake in falling into such a hand, even if she has an empire of business, that man will bring it down. And let me say this, and I'm a man too, and because I've seen I've seen men around that they want to implode and destroy the progress made by their wives in businesses. Okay, what about even a career woman? And I can only pray for this lady. Anytime she wants to go for anything that will lead to her elevation at work, that night there must be fight. How he gets to know, I don't know. And that's what the wife says. Anytime she has to go for one thing that will lead to her elevation, that will lead to her advancement, or accelerated whatever, that can make her manager of any establishment, he will do everything to frustrate the woman. It happens. So I ask you and I ask myself, where do you belong as a man? So financial responsibility is on the table of the man. A man should not be irresponsible financially. Because if a man is irresponsible financially, he will become a burden to the wife. Number two, what about men who, out of financial irresponsibility, they go secretly into debt? Because they know that they have kind-hearted wives. Don't worry. My wife, she's very kind. She will never see me suffer. She will just pour money. These are wicked husbands. Because your wife is kind-hearted, you want to throw her further into the dungeon of evil or bad practices, retrogression? No. Even God will not be happy with you if you did this to your wife. You have a kind-hearted woman, you should hold her very well and support her. And I know there are nice women out there. If you give them something, at least this is what you can afford. Be sincere to her, darling, I can afford 100,000 for now. Please manage it for me. I will add it up for you in a very short time. And your wife will say, okay, darling, don't worry. I will add something for you, and then when you have, you can pay me back. And any responsible man, whenever he has, the wife should know it. Oh, now I got some money, darling, please take this. So they take it away from what you have borrowed me earlier, and then we solve that problem, and it goes. So it is highly irresponsible for a man to be angry because the wife is making progress. Please, my brothers, do not be financially responsible. The point I made earlier, that a man goes secretly into debt, is a practice by some men. I don't want to say most men, They secretly go into debt, and as a result of going into debt, they will bring the responsibility of the upkeep of the home. They place that responsibility on the wife. And what's their claim? Don't you know I'm paying debt? Oh, who sent you? Your wife sent you to go into debt? The responsibility of taking care of the family, they now push that responsibility to their wives. And they claim that, don't you know that I'm paying debt? Is it what the debt I'm paying is not for us? Don't you know I'm building a house? Oh, so because you are oh my God. So because you are building a house, your family should suffer? Let the house stay, man. Must you build a house? And I tell people, you mustn't build a house. And let me correct an impression here, and with due respect, And I'm not saying this, don't look at me as someone who doesn't intend making progress in life. I love people who progress, because I'm also very optimistic myself about progress in life. But I'm saying that you cannot put your family to go through pain because you say you want to finish your house. You won't drop money. Okay, who's making the sacrifice now? Of course, your wife. Because you claim you are building a house, no food on the table, your wife is going into debt because your husband is building a house. Your wife cannot afford any clothes. Your children cannot afford school fees. Everything now rests on your wife because you claim you are building a house. Oh, excuse me. Did you marry your wife to put her under this kind of a loathsome chain of financial irresponsibility? No, it's not fair. Brothers, it's not fair. So financial responsibility rests squarely on your head, on your table. So when a man is financially irresponsible, this is one of the destroyers of the happiness of marriage. So please and please, dear husbands, let us try as much as it is possible. Let us try as much as it is possible to avoid being irresponsible financially. The final point I want to make, so we can go through the comments. If you have any comments, you can please drop your comment in the comment section. I could see some comments coming in, and I'm going to read them out in a very short while. Is the one that I feel I need to mention here is neglect of emotional and physical needs. This can happen both ways, either by the husband or the wife. Whenever there is a problem that has to do with emotion, please let us try to rise to it. Emotional needs are critical needs. I had a case of a sister who, according to them, that the woman went a little bit, there's some form of psychosis here. And at investigation, I got to understand that the sister actually wasn't born that way, but the challenge she had was because of the emotional torment which the husband made her to go through over a period of time. Now she has issues with psychosis, and which she has to battle with at the moment. Now, where is the problem here? If you neglect the emotional needs of your husband or the emotional needs of your wife, that itself is a killer. Not only killer of the marriage, but killer of the partner in the marriage. Because now the man wants to express himself, emotional needs for us to be together. These are my things. These are things bothering my mind. Every time he's shouting, every time he's screaming, every time he's beating, the wife feels unsafe or the husband feels unsafe. You know, it was during the course of my research that I got to understand that there are husband beaters. Did you hear me well? Yes, I'm going to repeat it. There are husband beaters, as in beaters that will punch their husbands. Emotionally, the husband is not stable because of the way the wife is. So this kind of emotional neglect could create a lot of problems. When your wife is with you, when your husband is with you, and yes, she's feeling unwanted, your husband is with you, your wife is with you, it doesn't really make any difference. It is just normal. I mean, how can you be with your wife or be with your husband and you're feeling like normal? It's not, I'm not with anybody so special, I'm just here on my own. Then there is a problem here. There is a problem here. So we have to intentionally take care of our emotional needs. And one of the problems, which also, because of the nature of my work, I have the problem sometimes because of the kind of work I do at the moment, when a man is not always available with the family. And it's a problem, right? But this could be because of job specification, the kind of work that you do. But the bottom line is, when you are not even physically at home, you should look for a way of connecting with your wife or connecting with your husband as much as it is possible. This is very, very important. And I ask Allah in His mercy to make it easy for us. I'm going to stop here today. I would want us to drop comments at the comment section. Let me just start reading from the first one. Perchance you have any question, let us try to share it together and try to see what we can take together. Let me start with my brother Muhammad Adamu. May Allah bless you, mashallah. Thank you so much for educating us, sir. Thank you too, and thank you very much for that message. My wife Hajia Zainab, may Allah bless you. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you too, Sister Qadri Rukoya. Wa alaykum salam. Thank you for your comment. My wife Hajia Khadija. Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. May Allah bless you. May Allah increase you too in knowledge and understanding. Sister Rukoya, again, may Allah continue to bless you too and grant you also more knowledge and wisdom. I want to appreciate, let's give some time for whatever comments, and I want to believe that we have some comment that will still keep coming. If you have any comments, let's share the thought together. I'm sorry, I'm in transit, so I have to just stop over to have this class today. So we hope that Allah will accept it from us and put the reward of it in the scale of our good days, inshallah. So if you still have any further comment, you could please come up with it, and let's share the thought together, and let's see what time we have within the shortest possible time we have left. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. May Allah be sufficient for us and accept our prayers. Okay, so now we have to call it a day for today, since we do not have any further comments coming. I ask Allah in His mercy to reward you all for joining us this evening, despite the change in timing. Like I said, the timing today changed because of the fact that I'm in transit. I may be on airborne, as at that time of 7 o'clock I may be airborne. So that is the reason why we have to move the timing for today's class to this time. And I want to thank you all for joining us today on this important session today. I ask Allah in His mercy to reward you all and bless you all and accept our ibadah, forgive our sins and give us the best in this world and forever in the hereafter. Inshallah, we hope to meet again on Saturday, 7 o'clock. May Allah spare our lives beyond then, so that we can further our lessons on what we have started so far on Faith Hour. Jazakumullahu khairal jaza. May Allah bless and reward you abundantly. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.